Hi, friend. I'm Pastor Diana. Welcome to a daily devotion. I'm so glad you've chosen to pause in the midst of your day to consider how God is at work in your life and how we are devoted to God, just as God is devoted to us. We're continuing our journey as we begin our sermon series, Devoted, and we are considering what it means to live a life that is devoted to God and to know of what God's devotion is to us. Today, we turn to some passages about prayer that we find in the Gospel of Matthew on the Sermon of the Mount. Jesus talked this way about showy prayer. When you pray, don't be like hypocrites. They love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners so that people will see them. I assure you, that's the only reward they'll get. But when you pray, go to your room, shut the door, and pray to your Father who is present in that secret place. Your Father who sees what you do in secret will reward you. When you pray, don't pour out a flood of empty words like the Gentiles do. They think that by saying many words they'll be heard. Don't be like them, because your Father knows what you need before you ask. Pray like this. Our Father, who is in heaven, uphold the holiness of your name. Bring in your kingdom so that your will is done on earth as it is done in heaven. Give us the bread we need for today. Forgive us for the ways we have wronged you, just as we also forgive those who have wronged us. And don't lead us into temptation, but rescue us from the evil one. Beautiful, right? And that is part of the Lord's Prayer, right? Where something that is recited many weeks, and in fact, the church recently started reciting it at the 11 o'clock service as well, because people were missing that piece of ritual, this prayer of words. But sometimes we think that the way that we learned it, perhaps as you learned it, is the only way. I know I learned it as a child, and a simple way to talk about that is I use the word trespasses. But then as I grew up, I went to other places where we used words like sin and debt and so many more. And so sometimes we think of saying something simple, Jesus saying, well, you just have to pray like this. But that's not so simple. What words do you use? What language? What's the real meaning? But the important part is I think, the previous part, not the exact words we pray, but Jesus's point that when we pray, we're not doing it in a formulaic way. We're doing it in a way, even though the words might be the same, we're praying to God. We're praying in a way where sometimes we need the same words to make sure that we are able to communicate everything that we want to communicate to God, even if we don't exactly have the exact words to say it. And that's one of the things about devotion and about being devoted to God, is we get it wrong a lot of the time. And that's okay. But the thing is that we have to continue to try. And Jesus offered us this prayer, this way in which we can continue to try to pray and to be devoted to God, just as God is devoted to us. And so today, as we close, I am going to read a version of the Lord's Prayer from a translation from Aramaic, which is probably what Jesus wrote. He may have also spoken Greek or Hebrew. We don't really know what this was prayed in. But I think I really love this beautiful translation of some of the original Aramaic. So as we pray, I invite you to open your ears to this prayer again. O thou from whom the breath of life comes, who fills all realms of sound, light, and vibration, may your light be experienced in my utmost holiness. Your heavenly domain approaches. Let your will come true in the universe, all that vibrates just as on earth. Give us wisdom for our daily need. Detach the fetters of faults that bind us, like we let go the guilt of others. Let us not be lost in superficial things, but let us be freed from what keeps us off our true purpose. From you comes the all-working will, the lively strength to act, the song that beautifies all and renews itself from age to age. Sealed in trust and faith and truth, I confirm with my entire being. You know, that is being devoted to God. And so whatever form of the Lord's Prayer that you pray, say it with new words, with devotion, and know that God is listening. Have a blessed day.